Hello and welcome to another part of AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner Exam Practice Question Series, folks. In this video, we will walk you through exam practice questions which are focused on most important topics covered in the exam. Along the way, we will share valuable tips and strategies to help you approach each question with confidence, ensuring you are well prepared to earn your certification on your first attempt. Folks, if you have any feedback on how we improve this experience for you, then please post it in the comments section so we can make changes going forward. Let's get started with the questions.
Question 41. Your application is hosted on Amazon EC2 instances. CPU and RAM requirements of the application rapidly change when batch jobs execute. Which AWS service can be used to dynamically adjust those resources based on demand? Your options are Amazon Route 53, EC2 Autoscaling, Amazon Elastic Container Service, Elastic Load Balancing. So the right answer is option B, EC2 Autoscaling. Amazon EC2 Autoscaling helps you maintain application availability and lets you automatically add or remove EC2 instances using scaling policies that you define. Dynamic or predictive scaling policies let you add or remove EC2 instance capacity to service established or real-time demand patterns. Cloud Practitioner exam can have questions where you will have to identify which type of scaling among the different options is best suited for the requirement. So go through the type of auto scaling in the link on your screen. There will be questions related to type of auto scaling further in this series as well. Moving on to next question. A company has a 3-tier application hosted in AWS. The architecture consists of a web application and database tier. Which of the following AWS services can be used to monitor this architecture? Your options are A, AWS CloudWatch, B, VPC Flow Logs, C, S3 Bucket Logs, D, AWS SQS. So the right answer is option A. Amazon CloudWatch collects and visualizes real-time logs, metrics, and event data in automated dashboards to streamline your infrastructure and application maintenance. It allows you to collect and store logs in near real time. Question number 43. Which AWS security service can be used to detect users' personal credit card numbers from data stored in a S3 bucket? Your options are Amazon Macie, AWS Shield, Amazon Inspector, Amazon Guard Duty. So the right answer is option A, Amazon Macie. It is a data security service that uses machine learning and pattern matching to discover and help protect your sensitive data. Amazon Macie continually evaluates your Amazon S3 environment and provides a summary of your data security posture across all of your accounts. You can search, filter, and sort S3 buckets by metadata variables, such as bucket names, tags, and security controls like encryption status or public accessibility. Moving on to next question. A customer requires a dedicated technical account manager to support them during critical issues regarding various AWS services. Which support plan should they purchase? Your options are basic support, developer support, business support, and enterprise support. The right answer is option D, enterprise support. A technical account manager is your designated technical point of contact who helps you onboard, provide advocacy, and guidance to help plan and build solutions using best practices, coordinates access to subject matter experts, assists with case management, presents insights and recommendations on your AWS spend, workload optimization, and event management, and proactively keeps your AWS environment healthy. You get a designated technical account manager with enterprise support. Question number 45. A web administrator maintains several public and private web-based resources for an organization. Which AWS service can they use to keep track of the expiry dates of SSL certificates as well as updating and renewal? Your options are AWS Firewall Manager, AWS License Manager, AWS Data Lifecycle Manager, and AWS Certificate Manager. So the right option is option D, AWS Certificate Manager. AWS Certificate Manager can be used to provision, manage, and deploy public and private SSL certificates for use with AWS services and your internal connected resources as well. ACM removes the time-consuming manual process of purchasing, uploading, and renewing SSL certificates. You can browse to the below URL to understand more about Certificate Manager. Moving on to next question. Your company wants to move an existing Oracle database to the AWS cloud. Which of the following services can help facilitate this move? Your options are AWS Database Migration Service, AWS Trusted Advisor, AWS Guard Duty, AWS Inspector. So the right answer is AWS Database Migration Service. It is a managed migration and replication service that helps move your database and analytics workloads to AWS quickly, securely, and with minimal downtime and zero data loss. AWS DMS supports migration between 20 plus databases and analytics engines. Moving on to question number 47. A large enterprise with multiple VPCs in several AWS regions around the world needs to connect and centrally manage network connectivity between its VPCs. Which AWS service or feature meets these requirements? Your options are A, AWS Direct Connect, B, AWS Transit Gateway, C, VPC endpoints, D, AWS Site-to-Site VPN. So the right answer is AWS Transit Gateway. AWS Transit Gateway enables customers to connect thousands of VPCs. You can attach all your hybrid connectivity, that is VPS and direct connect connections, to a single transit gateway instance, consolidating and controlling your organization's entire AWS routing configuration in one place. Moving on to question number 48. A company is launching an application in AWS Cloud. The application will use Amazon S3 storage, and a large team of researchers will have shared access to the data. The company must be able to recover data that is accidentally overwritten or deleted. Which AWS feature can the company use to meet this requirement? Your options are A, S3 lifecycle configuration, B, encryption at rest, C, S3 versioning, D, encryption in transit. So the right answer is option C, S3 versioning. Versioning in Amazon S3 is a means of keeping multiple variants of an object in the same bucket. You can use the S3 versioning feature to preserve, retrieve, and restore every version of every object stored in your buckets. With versioning, you can recover more easily from both unintended user actions and application failures. Moving on to question 49. Which AWS service or feature can assist with protecting a website that is hosted outside of AWS? Your options are Amazon VPC route tables, Amazon VPC security groups, AWS Web Application Firewall, Amazon VPC Network ACL? So the right answer is option C. Amazon WAF can be used to protect on-premise resources if they are deployed behind an application load balancer, and AWS WAF is integrated with Amazon CloudFront, which supports custom origins outside of AWS. Moving on to question 50. Which AWS feature can be used to launch a pre-configured Amazon EC2 instance? Your options are Amazon Elastic Block Store, EBS, Amazon EC2 System Manager, Amazon AppStream 2.0, Amazon Machine Image AMI. So the right answer is option D, AMI. It provides the information required to launch an instance. You must specify an AMI when you launch an instance. You can launch multiple instances from a single AMI when you require multiple instances with the same configuration. You can launch an instance from an AMI provided by AWS, customize the instance, for example, install software on the instance, and then save this update configuration as a custom AMI. Instances launched from this new custom AMI include the customizations that you made when you created the AMI. Moving on to question 51. Which of the following needs to be included in total cost of ownership TCO analysis? Choose two options. Your options are A, data center security costs, B, application development, C, hardware acquisition, D, IT manager salary, E, company-wide marketing. So the right answers are A and C, data center security costs and hardware acquisition. Consider the following elements affecting cost while calculating TCO: data center facilities, hardware and infrastructure, software, disaster recovery, and security. Moving on to question 52. A company needs to install an application in a Docker container. Which AWS service eliminates the need to provision and manage container hosts? Your options are Amazon EC2, Amazon Elastic Container Services, ECS, AWS Fargate, and Amazon FSx for Windows File Server. So the correct answer is option C, AWS Fargate. It is a serverless compute engine for containers that works with both Amazon ECS and Amazon EKS. AWS Fargate makes it easy to focus on building your applications. Fargate eliminates the need to provision and manage servers, lets you specify and pay for resources per application, and improves security through application isolation by design. Moving on to next question. A company wants to have up-to-date information on the AWS service availability. Where can they find this information? Your options are Amazon CloudWatch, AWS Service Health Dashboard, AWS Control Tower, AWS Personal Health Dashboard. The correct answer is option B, AWS Service Health Dashboard. You can use the AWS Health Dashboard Service Health to view the health of all AWS services. This page shows reported service events for services across AWS regions. You don't need to sign in or have an AWS account to access the AWS Health Dashboard Service Health page. Moving on to question 54. The developers in a large organization wants to use an IDE to run, test, and debug code for Lambda functions. Which AWS service is the most appropriate? Your options are Amazon SDK, AWS Cloud9, AWS Code Commit, and AWS Code Deploy. The correct answer is option B, AWS Cloud9. It is a cloud-based integrated development environment that lets you write, run, and debug your code with just a browser. It includes a code editor, debugger, and terminal. Cloud9 comes pre-packaged with essential tools for popular programming languages, including JavaScript, Python, PHP, and more. So you don't need to install files or configure your development machine to start new projects. Since your Cloud9 IDE is cloud-based, you can work on your projects from your office, home, or anywhere using an internet-connected machine. Moving on to question 55. A group of non-tech friends are looking to set up a website for an upcoming event at a cost-effective price with a friendly interface. Which AWS service is the most appropriate to use? Your options are option A, use AWS Lightsail. Option B, use AWS Marketplace to install a ready-made WordPress AMI. Option C, download a pre-configured website on EC2 instance from a third-party website. Option D, use a pre-configured customizable Apache web server on an EC2 instance. So the correct answer is option A, use AWS Lightsail. AWS Lightsail can be used to build a website in just a few clicks with pre-configured applications like WordPress, Magento, Prestat Shop, and Joomla. Lightsail automatically configures networking, access, and security environments, taking the guesswork out of launching your server. You can also install additional softwares on your instance by using the in-browser SSH or your own SSH client. You can refer to the link on your screen to read more about AWS Lightsail. Moving on to question number 56. Service control policies, SCPs, manage permission for which of the following? Your options are AWS organization, edge locations, AWS regions, availability zones. The correct answer is option A, AWS organization. Service control policies are a type of organization policy that you can use to manage permissions in your organization. SCPs offer central control over the maximum available permissions for all accounts in your organization. SCPs help you to ensure your accounts stay within your organization's access control guidelines. SCPs don't affect user or roles in the management account. They affect only the member accounts in your organization. Moving on to question 57. A company wants to convert audio and video files from their source format into a format that will play on smartphones, tablets, and web browsers. Which AWS service can be used to meet these requirements? Your options are A, Amazon Recognition, B, Amazon Comprehend, C, AWS Glue, D, Amazon Elastic Transcoder. So the correct answer is option D, Amazon Elastic Transcoder. It is media transcoding in the cloud. It is designed to be a highly scalable, easy to use, and a cost effective way for developers and businesses to convert media files from their source format into versions that will play back on devices like smartphones, tablets, and PCs. Moving on to question 58. Which AWS service supports a hybrid architecture that gives users the ability to extend AWS infrastructure, AWS services, APIs, and tools to data centers, co-location environments, or on-premise facilities? Your options are A. AWS Fargate, B. AWS Local Zones, C. AWS Outposts, D. AWS Snowmobile. So the correct answer is option C, AWS Outposts. AWS Outpost is a family of fully managed solutions delivering AWS infrastructure and services to virtually any on-premise or edge location for a truly consistent hybrid experience. With AWS Outposts, you can run some AWS services locally and connect to a broad range of services available in the local AWS region. Run applications and workloads on premise using familiar AWS services, tools, and APIs. Outposts support workload and device requiring low latency access to on premise systems, local data processing, data residency, and application migration with local system interdependencies. Moving on to question 59. Which AWS service lets you convert text into speech? Your options are Amazon Kendra, Amazon Polly, Amazon Connect, Amazon Recognition. Correct answer is option B, Amazon Polly. It uses deep learning technologies to synthesize natural sounding human speech. So you can convert articles to speech, which with dozens of lifelike voices across a broad set of languages, use Amazon Polly to build speech activated applications. Amazon Polly provides an API that enables you to quickly integrate speech synthesis into your application. Moving on to question 60. Which AWS service or tool can be used to capture information about inbound and outbound traffic in an Amazon VPC? Your options are VPC Flow Logs, Amazon Inspector, NAT Gateway, VPC Endpoint Services. So the correct answer is option A, VPC Flow Logs. VPC Flow Logs is a feature that enables you to capture information about the IP traffic going to and from network interfaces in your VPC. Flow log data can be published to the following locations: Amazon CloudWatch Logs, Amazon S3, or Amazon Kinesis Data Firehouse. You can create a flow log for a VPC, a subnet, or a network interface. If you create a flow log for a subnet or VPC, each network interface in that subnet or VPC is monitored.
If you are liking the content, friends, then don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe the channel. As a reminder, if you are interested in obtaining the complete set of questions in PDF format, remember to take the gold membership and send an email to devopshub2023@gmail.com to request your copy. Let's now get back to the questions.
Which AWS service provides a managed software version control system? Your options are AWS Data Sync, AWS Code Pipeline, AWS Code Commit, and Amazon Code Deploy. So the right answer is option C, AWS Code Commit. AWS Code Commit is a secure, highly scalable, fully managed source control service that hosts private Git repositories. You simply create a repository to store your code. There is no hardware to provision and scale or software to install, configure, and operate. Code Commit helps you collaborate on code with pull requests, branching, and merging. You can implement workflows that include code reviews and feedbacks by default. and control who can make changes to specific branches, also called as branch protection. You can refer to the link on my description page to understand more about code commit on the AWS official website. Question number 62. Which of the following AWS service can be used to provide root storage volumes to Amazon EC2 instances? Your options are Amazon EBS, Amazon EFS, Amazon S3, Amazon Machine Image. So the right answer is option A, Amazon EBS. You can launch an EC2 instance from either an instance store backed AMI or an Amazon EBS backed AMI. The major difference between the two types being any data on the instance store volume persists as long as the instance is running, but this data is deleted when the instance is terminated. Whereas an Amazon EBS backed instance can be stopped and later restarted without affecting data stored in the attached volumes. Question number 63. An IAM user must be granted access to an Amazon S3 bucket using a bucket policy. Which element in the S3 bucket policy should be updated to define the user account for which access will be granted? Your options are option A, condition, option B, action, option C, resource, option D, principal. So the right answer is option D, principal. You can use the principal element in a resource-based JSON policy to specify the principal that is allowed or denied access to a resource. You can specify any of the principals in the policy, including AWS account, root user, IAM roles, IAM users, and AWS services. Moving on to question 64. In which situations should a company create an IAM user instance instead of an IAM role? You have to choose two options. Option A, when users are authenticated in the corporate network and want to be able to use AWS without having to sign in a second time. Option B, when an application that runs on Amazon EC2 instances requires access to other services. Option C, when the company needs to add users to IAM groups. Option D, when the company creates AWS access credentials for individuals. Option E, when the company creates an application that runs on a mobile phone that makes requests to AWS. So the right answers are option C and option D. Moving on to next question. Which of the following is the best practice for managing AWS IAM access keys? Your options are there is no need to manage access keys. AWS rotates access keys on a schedule. Use IAM roles instead of access keys. Customers should rotate the keys regularly. So the right answer is option D. Access keys give IAM user the ability to connect to Amazon EC2 instances. Therefore, rotating these keys regularly, for example, every 90 days, is one of the key steps in protecting your resources from unauthorized access. Moving on to next question. A cloud engineer expects an increase in application traffic at a particular time when the application go live is planned. How can the cloud engineer ensure Amazon EC2 autoscaling allocates the desired number of EC2 instances ahead of go live? Your options are configure a scheduled scaling policy, configure a target tracking scaling policy, configure a step scaling policy, configure predictive scaling. So the right answer is option A, configure a scheduled scaling policy. Scheduled scaling helps you to set up your own scaling schedule according to predictable load changes. For example, let's say that every week the traffic to your web application starts to increase on Wednesday. remains high on Thursday and starts to decrease on Friday. You can configure a schedule for Amazon EC2 autoscaling to increase capacity on Wednesday and decrease capacity on Friday. There will be some questions on different types of scaling where you'll have different scenarios and you'll have to identify which type of scaling is applicable to this scenario. So please go through the types of scaling. Moving on to question number 67. Which AWS service can be used to host a static website? Your options are Amazon Elastic File System, Amazon Elastic Block Store, Amazon Route 53, Amazon S3. So the right answer is option D, Amazon S3. You can use Amazon S3 to host a static website. On a static website, individual web pages include static content. They might also contain client-side scripts. You can refer to these links to understand more on how to host a static website on Amazon S3. Moving on to next question. Which of the following are recommended security measures when creating access to an AWS account? You need to choose two options. Your options are enable multi-factor authentication, grant admin privilege access, enable cloud trail logs, grant least privilege access. So the right options are option A and option D. You can refer to the link for more details around the IAM best practices. Moving on to next question. Amazon EC2 web servers connect to a traditional application operating in a corporate data center. Which phrase would be appropriate to describe this model? Your options are cloud native, hybrid architecture, partner network, infrastructure as a service. So the right answer is option B, hybrid architecture. And hybrid cloud architecture is the combination of public and private clouds by a wide area network or broadband connection, through which applications and data can be shared and which can be managed as a single IT architecture. Hybrid cloud architecture is well suited to fluctuations in demand for computing resources since it enables businesses to scale from on-premise to public cloud based to meet the increased demand, and scale back from the public cloud to on-premise, also called as private cloud, only once demand recedes. Moving on to question number 70. A cloud engineer is required to retain data for 7 years in order to comply with regulatory standards. Which AWS service meets this need for the least amount of money? Your options are option A, Amazon S3, option B, AWS Snowball, option C, Amazon Redshift, option D, Amazon S3 Glacier. So the right answer is option D, Amazon S3 Glacier. The Glacier Deep Archive storage class is designed to provide durable and secure long-term storage for large amounts of data at a price that is competitive with off-premises tape archival services. Data is stored across 3 or more availability zones, and it provides two retrieval options ranging from 12 to 48 hours. It is designed for customers, particularly those in the financial services, healthcare, media, and entertainment public sector, that retain datasets for 7 to 10 years or longer to meet customer needs and regulatory compliance requirements. Moving on to question 71. Which of the following should be provided by users to utilize the AWS CLI? Your options are certificate, password, access and secret key, and API key. So the right answer is option C, access and secret key. You can refer to this link on the screen to understand more about AWS CLI in detail and how it is configured. I will also be creating videos in future on this topic. So stay tuned. Question number 72. Which of the following statements most accurately characterize elastic load balancing? Your options are option A, it collects metrics of connected Amazon EC2 instances. Option B, it distributes incoming application traffic across one or more Amazon EC2 instances. Option C, it translates a domain name into an IP address using DNS. Option D, it automatically adjusts the number of Amazon EC2 instances to support incoming traffic. So the right answer is option B. Elastic load balancing (ELB) automatically distributes incoming application traffic across multiple targets and virtual appliances in one or more availability zones. ELB supports four types of load balancers. You can select the appropriate load balancer based on your application needs. If you need to load balance HTTP requests, you can use the application load balancer, also called as ALB. For network or traffic protocols operating at layer 4, that is TCP and UDP load balancing. And for extreme performance, low latency applications, you can use network load balancer. If your application is built with the Amazon EC2 classic network, you can use classic load balancer, which is getting deprecated very soon. If you need to deploy and run third-party virtual appliances, you can use gateway load balancer. Moving on to next question. A corporation is developing a mobile application to give its clients with shopping suggestions. The business intends to include a graph database into the shopping recommendation engine. Which AWS database service should the business use? Your options are option A, Amazon Neptune, option B, Amazon Document DB, option C, Amazon Aurora, option D, Amazon DynamoDB. So the correct answer is option A, Amazon Neptune. It is a fully managed database service built for the cloud that makes it easier to build and run graph applications. Neptune provides built-in security, continuous backups, serverless compute, and integrations with other AWS services. Moving on to question 74. Which DynamoDB feature can be used to reduce the latency of requests to a database from milliseconds to microseconds? Your options are DynamoDB Accelerator, Read Replica, Memcache, Multi-AZ deployment. So the right answer is option A, DynamoDB Accelerator, also called as DAX. It is a fully managed, highly available in-memory cache for Amazon DynamoDB that delivers up to 10 times performance improvement from milliseconds to microseconds, even at millions of requests per second. DAX does all the heavy lifting required to add in-memory acceleration to your DynamoDB tables without requiring developers to manage cache validation, data population, or cluster management. Moving on to question 75. Which of the following is the most appropriate means for developers to store Docker container images in the AWS cloud? Your options are Elastic Container Service, Elastic Block Store, Elastic Container Registry, Elastic MapReduce. So the correct answer is option C, ECR. Amazon ECR is a fully managed container registry offering high performance hosting. So you can reliably deploy application images and artifacts anywhere. Amazon ECR is integrated with Amazon ECS and Amazon EKS, which means you can easily store and run container images for applications with either orchestrator. All you need to do is simply specify the Amazon ECR registry in your task or pod definition for Amazon ECS or Amazon EKS to retrieve the appropriate image for your application. Moving on to next question. Which AWS service can be used to send alerts based on Amazon CloudWatch alarms? Your options are option A, AWS CloudTrail, option B, Amazon Simple Notification Service, option C, AWS Trusted Advisor, option D, Amazon Route 53. So the right answer is option B, SNS. SNS sends notifications two ways, A to A and A to P. A to A is called as application to application, and A to P is called as application to person. A to A provides high throughput, push based, many to many messaging between distributed systems, microservices, and event driven serverless applications. These applications include Amazon SQS, Simple Queue Service, Amazon Kinesis Data Firehose, Amazon Lambda, and other HTTPS endpoints. A2P functionality lets you send messages to your customers with SMS text, push notifications, and emails. Moving on to question 77. Which AWS hybrid storage service enables on-premise applications to seamlessly use AWS cloud storage through standard file storage protocols? Your options are AWS Direct Connect, AWS Snowmobile, AWS Snowball Edge, AWS Storage Gateway. So the right answer is option D. AWS Storage Gateway is a set of hybrid cloud storage services that provide on-premise access to virtually unlimited cloud storage. Next question. Which statement is true in relation to data stored within an AWS region? Your options are option A, data is automatically archived after 90 days. Option B, data is not replicated outside of a region unless you configure it. Option C, data is always automatically replicated to at least one other availability zone. Option D, data is always replicated to another region. Correct answer is option D. Data is not replicated outside of any region unless you configure it. It is up to the customer of AWS to determine whether they want to replicate their data to other regions. You must always consider compliance and network latency when making this decision. Moving on to question 79. Which team is available to support AWS customers on an enterprise support plan with account issues? Your options are option A, AWS billing and accounts, option B, AWS concierge, option C, AWS technical support, option D, AWS technical account manager. So the right answer is option B, AWS concierge. Concierge team are AWS billing and account experts that specialize in working with enterprise accounts and are included as part of the enterprise support plan. Next question. Which AWS service lets you add user sign up, sign in, and access control to web and mobile apps? Your options are A, AWS Cloud HSM, B, AWS Artifact, C, Amazon Cognito, D, AWS Directory Services. So the correct answer is option C, Amazon Cognito. With Amazon Cognito, you can add user sign up and sign in features and control access to your web and mobile applications. Amazon Cognito provides an identity store that scales to millions of users, supports social and enterprise identity federation, and offers advanced security feature to protect your customers and businesses. Built on open identity standards, Amazon Cognito supports various compliance regulations and integrates with front-end and back-end development resources. You can go to this link to understand more about Amazon Cognito and how it can be implemented.
Thank you for staying with us till the end of this video, folks. I'll see you in the next part of the series.